Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Nerps Crypt. It's a pleasure to have you all back here. I wasn't expecting anyone to be here, as I'm on vacation for the week, and I thought I would just camp out here and talk to the spirits in the crypt, get more video ideas, but one of the spirits gave me a great idea down here. In the crypt, they specifically asked me to talk about one of my first paranormal stories I've ever heard when I was little, the one that scared me. So, I would like to talk with you all about that today. So, the fire's just getting started. Somehow you always manage to come here when I get that fire started. You're always looking for a story. Well, it's a good thing I got a nice long one, so you all better be ready for a nice treat. So, grab your snack, your favorite beverage, and let's dive into this together. This video is sponsored by Dubby. If you're looking for a new energy drink alternative, look no further than today's video sponsor, Dubby. They offer clean energy, no jitters or crashes. It helps you lock in and focus, and they have over 15 flavors to choose from. And the best thing is, there's zero sugar and no artificial colors. If you click the link in the description and go to the shop and add some things into your cart, at checkout, put in the promo code NERPY and you will get 10% off your order, and that will help me out too. So, thanks again to our sponsor, Dubby, and please enjoy the rest of the video. Are you all comfortable? Good. I hope you are, because this story scared the ever-living spookiness in me. When I was in Cub Scouts, this story was read to me by my brother over by the fire, by our campfire that we made, and it scared me so bad, and it's a little nostalgic here with the fire, but now this time I get to tell the story and really delve into everything about the legend of the Bell Witch. So, I'm going to be reading the story from thebellwitch.org, which has everything that I need for this video, so if you want to personally check it out, please do so. Now, let's get started. So before we even talk about the haunting, I think we should start with before the haunting, prior to the Bell Witch. So, in the early 1800s, John Bell moved his family from North Carolina to Red River Bottomland in Robertson County, Tennessee, settling in the Red River community, which later became present-day Adams, Tennessee. Bell purchased the land and made a large house for his family. Over the next several years, he increased even more of his land, getting more things, planting more stuff on his fields. He also became the elder of the Red River Baptist Church. The Bell family included John, his wife Lucy Bell, and 3 more children after moving to Tennessee. The Bells had a very happy and successful early life in the Red River settlement. But one day in 1817, John Bell was inspecting his cornfield when he encountered a strange-looking animal sitting in the middle of the corn row. Shocked by the appearance of this animal, which had the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit, Bell shot several times. The animal vanished. This was the first documented manifestation of this entity. Bell thought nothing more of the incident, at least not until after dinner. That evening, the family began hearing beating, the sounds of the outside walls of their log home. The mysterious sounds continued with increased frequency and force each night. Bell had his sons often hurry outside to catch the culprit, but always returned empty-handed. In the weeks that followed, the Bell children began waking up frightened, complaining that rats were gnawing at their bedpost. Not long after that, the children began complaining of having their bed covers pulled from them and their pillows tossed onto the floor by seemingly an invisible entity. As time went on, the Bells began hearing faint, whispering voices, which are too weak to understand, but they sounded like a feebled old woman singing hymns. The encounters escalated, and the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy Bell, began experiencing brutal encounters with the invisible entity. It would pull her hair and slap her relentlessly, often leaving welts and handprints on her face and body. The disturbances about which John Bell had vowed his family to secret finally escalated to the point where he had to share his family trouble with his closest neighbor, James Johnston. Skeptical at first, Johnson and his wife spent that night at the Bell home. Things began peaceful, but once they retired for the evening, they were subject to the same terrifying disturbances that the Bells have been experiencing. After their bed covers were yanked off, James was slapped. He sprang out of bed, exclaiming, "In the name of the Lord, who are you and what do you want?" The entity did not respond. The rest of the night was peaceful. The next morning, Mr. Johnson explained to the Bells the culprit was... "It must have been an evil spirit, the ones that the Bible talks about." The entity's voice strengthened over time and became loud, unmistakable. It sang hymns, quoted scripture, carried on intelligent conversation, and once quoted, word for word, 2 sermons that were preached at the same time on the same day, 13 miles apart. Word of the supernatural phenomenon soon spread outside the settlement, even to Nashville, where then Major General Andrew Jackson became interested in the so-called Bell Witch. John Bell Jr., along with his brothers, Drewy Bell and Jesse Bell, had fought under General Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. A few years later, in 1819, Jackson heard about the disturbances at the Bell home and decided to pay a visit and investigate. As Jackson's entourage, consisting of several men, well-groomed horses, and a large wagon, approached the Bell property, the wagon jolted to a sudden stop. It had become stuck in a muddy creek bed, and the horses were unable to pull it. At least, that was what the men thought. After several minutes of cursing and trying to coax the horses into pulling the wagon, Jackson proclaimed, "By eternal boys, that must be the Bell Witch!" Then suddenly, a disembodied female voice told Jackson that they could proceed and that she would see them again later that evening. They were then able to proceed across the property, up the lane, and to the Bell home. That evening, Jackson told old war stories while his entourage set up their tents in John and Lucy Bell's yard. One of the men claimed to be a witch tamer. After several uneventful hours, he pulled out a shiny pistol and proclaimed that its silver bullet would kill any evil spirit that came into contact with. He went on to say that the reason nothing bad had happened to them is because whatever had been haunting the Bells was scared of his silver bullet. Immediately, the man screamed and began jerking his body in different directions, complaining that he was being struck with pins and beaten severely. A strong, swift kick to the man's posterior region from an invisible foot sent him out the front door. Angry, the entity spoke up and announced that it was yet another fraud in Jackson's party, and that she would identify him the following evening. Now terrified, Jackson's men began to leave the Bell farm. Jackson insisted on staying. He wanted to know who the other fraud was. The men eventually went outside to sleep in their tents, while continuously begging Jackson to leave. What happened next is not clear, but Jackson and his entourage were spotted nearby Springfield earlier the next morning, going back to Nashville. Some alleged that Jackson later proclaimed, "I would rather fight the British at New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch." Eventually, the Bell Witch sets her sights on John Bell. The disturbances decreased after the Betsy and Joshua engagement ended, but the entity continued to express disdain for John Bell, relentlessly vowing to kill him. Bell had been experiencing episodes of twitching in his face and difficulty swallowing for almost a year. By the fall of 1820, his declining health has confined him to the house, where the malicious entity continuously removed his shoes when he was tired to walk, and slapped him in the face when he recovered from numerous seizures. Her shrill voice was heard all over the farm, cursing and chastising Old Jack Bell, the nickname she has given him. John Bell breathed his last breath on the morning of December 20th, 1820, after slipping into a coma a day earlier. Immediately after his death, his family found a vial of strange black liquid in the cupboard. John Jr. sprinkled 2 drops on the cat's tongue. The cat jumped into the air, rolled over in midair, and was dead when it hit the floor. The entity then exclaimed, "I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him." John Jr. tossed the mysterious vial into the fireplace. It burst into a bright blue flame and shot up the chimney. John Bell's funeral was one of the largest ever held in the Robertson country, Tennessee. People attended from miles away, and 3 preachers, 2 Methodist and 1 Baptist, eulogized him. As the crowd of mourners began leaving the graveyard, the Bell Witch entity laughed and sang a song about a bottle of brandy. Her fervent singing didn't stop until the last mourner had left the graveyard. The entity's presence was almost non-existent after John Bell's demise, as though it had fulfilled its purpose. Over time, Betsy Bell became interested in Joshua Gardner, a young man who lived nearby. With the blessing of their parents, they decided to marry. Everyone was happy about their engagement. Well, almost everyone. The evil, mysterious entity became furious and repeatedly ordered Betsy to not marry Joshua. Betsy and Joshua's former schoolteacher, Professor Richard Powell, had been noticeably interested in Betsy for some time and had expressed interest in marrying her when she became older, during the time he lived and taught school at Red River, and perceived as a happy-go-lucky bachelor, and expressed his unwavering fondness of Betsy Bell, according to earlier accounts. Powell politely expressed his disappointment with Betsy's engagement to Joshua and wished her a long and prosperous marriage. Betsy and Joshua could not go to the river, the fields, or the cave to play without the entity nagging them. Constant pressure was more than Betsy Bell could handle, and on Easter Monday of 1821, she met Joshua at the river and broke off the engagement. In April 1821, shortly after Betsy Bell had broken off her engagement, the entity visited John Bell's widow, Lucy Bell, and told her that it was leaving, but it would return in 7 years. The entity returned in 1828, as promised. Most of the returned visit centered on John Bell Jr., with whom the entity discussed the origin of life, civilizations, Christianity, predictions of the Civil War, and other major events. The entity bade farewell after 3 weeks, promising to visit John Bell's most direct descendant in 107 years. The year would be 1935, and the closest living direct descendant at the time was Nashville's physician, Dr. Charles Bailey Bell, a neurologist and John Bell's Sir's great-grandson. In 1934, Dr. Bell published a book about the Bell Witch, likely to raise awareness for the spirit's impending return. The book contains the first ever account of the alleged conference between the entity and John Bell Jr. in 1828. The author's father, Dr. Joel Thomas Bell, had allegedly taken notes during the conferences and, upon his death, passed them down to him, Dr. Charles Bailey Bell. Dr. Bell published no follow-up to his 1934 book. He died in 1945 and is buried at the Bellwood Cemetery in Adams, Tennessee. Did the Bell Witch return in 1935 as promised? Some say she did not return, or that if she did, they were not aware of it, but many say she never left the place to begin with. So, my honest thoughts, guys, my honest thoughts. I think the Bell Witch is just still there. To be honest with you, I did some research after the story, looked at a couple of YouTube videos. A lot of people have investigated the Bell Witch house. You got a couple of the fancy guys that I don't really watch, like Sam and Colby. I don't watch them. But yeah, but you got people like that are doing these videos. I watched a guy named Groovin' Gavin. It was pretty entertaining, but the guide there did mention that there was the guide's name is Candy, by the way, but she mentioned that there was a recent group of investigators that were there, and they felt a presence behind them, and so they snapped like 3 photos, and one of them actually shows a silhouette of it looks like a lady in a dress to me, You guys tell me what you think, but you can see it standing behind him, and that could very well be the Bell Witch. Which, funny enough, also after doing my research too, the name that the Bell Witch goes by, because people ask, what's your name? Who are you? So she would say her name's Kate, or she would say she's Kate Batts Witch. And Kate Batts is a lady that had a land dispute with John Bell. She also refers to herself as like a demon or a couple spirits into one like sort of entity. But that was interesting to find out too, with the Bell Witch. So most of the locals in Adams, Tennessee refers to her as Kate instead of the Bell Witch. Which another thing is, in Groove and Gavin's video, it sounds like the Bell Witch doesn't just haunt the Bell, I guess, land, but instead it's like almost all of Adams, Tennessee away. Just kind of the whole area. Apparently there's these people at a dollar store that says that the Bell Witch is messing around with their dollar store, like it's opening up freezers, or opening up like the freezer doors, opening other doors and throwing different products on the floor, which is really interesting. And there's people that do a festival every year for the Bell Witch, and apparently they get bad luck with lights not working and all of this stuff, and they say they're probably cursed a little bit by the Bell Witch because, I guess because they're working on the festival, or you speaketh thou name when you're down there, and she might show up. So it's really interesting. On one of the episodes of Ghost Adventures, they actually went down to the Bell House to get some what's it called? Evidence, obviously, to find this Bell Witch. And one of the things they actually captured in that episode is that they got an EVP down inside the cave. And in the cave, the EVP they captured is a woman. It sounds pretty elderly a little bit, but it's a woman. And I'm pretty sure she says, like, I think she says, "Listen to me." And you could hear it really clearly in the clip, which is really, it's pretty scary. But, and they captured other things like orbs going around and stuff. I gotta get Discovery Plus again so I could watch the full episode, but if you guys are interested, I would say definitely check out that episode of Ghost Adventures, and let me know what else they captured down there. And if you ever went to the Bell House like property and you done an investigation or had a tour down there, please let me know. I would be so interested to know what type of stuff you've personally encountered over there. I would love in the future to go and do my own ghost investigation down there. See if I can capture something, get EVPs. I think that would be a lot of fun. If you guys would like to see in the future me branching out and actually doing investigations, let me know, because I think that would be fun. That would definitely be way farther into the future, because currently right now I wouldn't be able to. I would need a little bit more support to be able to think of doing anything like that. I gotta stay here, work, and pay the bills, so but I would love that. So you guys let me know what you think about me possibly ghost hunting. I'll see if there's anything local here, maybe, but if you guys would like that, I'll do that. Alright, I think that's gonna officially end the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Nerps Crypt. I appreciate all the support I've been getting for it. I really appreciate that, guys. Make sure you please like and subscribe, and share this with all your friends that are also interested in the more paranormal and kinda creepy side of the world. And shoot me recommendations for anything you want me to cover. I would be more than happy to go over it. So, yeah, thanks guys, and subscribe. And yeah, stay fresh, guys.